pay for their evil doing. But look, we're all in the same boat here, and we're all going to pick up each other's pain. And I'm sorry if I have projected pain from my lower back, but I just thank God it's not worse than it is, and there's hope that maybe it's not something I've got to go to a chiropractor or the hospital for that matter over. But we're all experiencing pain, the pain of humanness, and that's that organic pain, the pain of weakness, that in our weakness, His strength is perfected. And I'm still learning, how I can evolve my own weakness, for lack of a better term, evolve, but direct it in a way that I can live with. Because right now, the weaknesses I have in my life are something I don't want to live with in perpetuity. So God's got to understand that, and I've got to convey it. And that's part of how this whole thing about showing mercy works. I mean, God knows us better than we know ourselves. We do stupid things, things that in our right mind we don't want to do. In our right mind is that godly mind, when we are allowing ourselves to be rendered in the image and likeness of God. But when we're allowing ourselves to be rendered in the image and likeness of the evil one, these demonic spirits that entice us and pull us into things that really are just going to bring us down. We know that. We know that, just like Einstein said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But who hasn't done it? Okay? I mean, it's a powerful force that we're up against here. And money is probably the biggest, most enticing vice, that trap that we can all fall into. And it relates to everything. Knowing that being free is at the top of our list of things that we know in our heart of hearts. We know intuitively. We know it instinctively. We know it because we have that godly nature that was given us, being rendered His image and likeness from birth. We're made in the image and likeness of God. We know that we want to be good, upright people all the time. And we know when we want that it's not right, that it feels bad, that it's a downer. And it's illogical to engage in anything that's a downer. So it makes us kind of nuts, kind of crazy, kind of abnormal, kind of weird. And what I want to say is that it's very normal to feel abnormal, because it's just part and parcel of what it means to be human. You go to any one of these 12-step programs, you hear this term terminal uniqueness bandied about. And what they're talking about is the same phenomenon, that we think we're different when we're really all the same. We're just one big family here trying to get along. And we know that when it comes to defining this term freedom, we know that there's some people that are born with more freedom than others. And these would be those that are born with hereditary wealth. They're born with a silver spoon in their mouth. So they've got this privilege, this thing that most other people don't have. Money, this very powerful element, the most powerful element. I've often called it Satan's ambrosia, because it is his food. And if we ever took it away, if humanity ever figured out that we don't need money for squat, even though we have been trained from birth, okay, very, very powerfully trained, inculcated, indoctrinated, programmed, conditioned, coerced, forced into believing otherwise, that we absolutely do need money. And don't be an idiot, pipe dreamer, idealist, dumbass, lacking any common sense, okay, not being pragmatic, not being practical, and talking about a world without money. But that's exactly what I'm going to talk about over and over and over again, and because I don't hear anybody else talking about it. But it's really very simple. The fact is, we can fix our problems to where we're not seeking out vices, ways to metaphorically slash our wrists or self flagellate, beat ourselves up. See, the way it works, when we point the finger at other people, there's always three fingers point back at us. Okay, I've heard that. It's, I'm not trying to use a lot of platitudes and sound all wise guy-ish here. Okay, the point is, a lot of them are very fitting. But when we do that, it's important to understand the ball always winds up in our court. God always allows the maximum condemnation to fall on ourselves, but in the form of convicting us and making us feel shame, of a sense of compunction, guilt, which is a healthy form. Okay, if it helps us to grow as human beings and to realize we don't want to be that person that was pointing fingers at everybody and being pedantic over stuff that they themselves struggle with. So we've got to be very tactful. Divine, only God can give us that kind of tact to try to reach people, to successfully, effectively reach people and correct people and help them get on the right path here. Is it with the right spirit, the right attitude, is when we tell them. But understand this, look, we're never going to be happy unless we're free. And the only way we can be free is if we are financially free also. It's a part of the whole being free part, okay? We're never going to learn to it's an incompatible element of our happiness, okay? Money. Because it invariably, all through history, there's been problems with it. Okay, people fall in love with the power and the control, and just they love money. It's that simple. And these are the people at the top of the heap. Do you understand? Because they are willing to defy God, to rebel against the truth, the spirit of truth. By their fruits, I'm not judging them, I'm just pointing out a fact. They're willing to do whatever it takes to maintain this position on the top of the heap. And that often entails murder. So they're willing to commit murder. They're willing to sell their conscience, sell their soul. They don't value those things as much as these temporary things of the world. Okay, the fruits of this world, the money, the materialism, the power, the control, the ego, the vanity. I don't know, what's in these people's heads, but they're sick. As far as I'm concerned, they haven't thought this through. They're on the path to oblivion, okay, and they need to be parented. And that's the difficult part, is really treating these evil people. And you might be one hell of a lot younger, but you're called on by God as his friend, as his devoted servant, to parent a much older man, woman. This works both ways. I mean, look at this idiot woman that was in the news recently, confronting this Latino guy, and just utter racism spewing out of this. It's demonic. I mean, and then she's a Trump supporter, so immediately the news is, focus. Look. She supports Trump. This is what they're all like this crazy woman. Okay, I mean, that's insanity to talk to anybody like that. I see people from other countries, families, and talking in other languages all the time. And guess what? I'm the nicest guy. I always give them a polite smile, respectful smile, and I refuse to not love my fellow human being. I don't care. Look, if they're in my presence, okay, I am going to be who I have to be, and that's a loving human being. And I am not going to be a racist, okay? There's an unsung hero out there that deserves his own holiday, and that's this Cesar Chavez, I believe. I believe in standing up for fair labor laws and the farm workers, absolutely. And this is a form of elitism that crosses the board. I mean, there's a lot of people out there, they call themselves Christians and the upright and the decent, righteous people, but they have a little blind spot about this business. They feel, look, somebody's got to get left out of the loop. We got to enslave somebody. So don't you want to believe that you're better than those farm workers? And I think, hell no, I don't. Their financial freedom is my financial freedom. Okay, their freedom is my freedom. Remember, financial freedom is just part of the whole being totally free, absolutely, utterly, completely, okay, unabashedly, unequivocally free. Okay, that's it. No ifs, ands, or buts. Nothing. No, no forms of enslavement. No forms of oppression. No way for anybody to have the one up on me, and to tell me, what I have to do in life, okay, or not do, in order to have a rightful share in the inherent wealth of this planet, because I do. And that sounds radical to people, okay, because they haven't thought it through. They've been trained, like I said, from the beginning to trust in the ways of this world. Just what you're handed. You just believe this paradigm, this so called reality, and it's all based on money. Okay, this is it. This is what's bringing us down. This is what's making us weak and fall and be miserable. Okay, this is what happens, I'm telling you. And it's got to hit the fan. The ship's got to turn. The train's got to get on a new track. The worm's got to turn. The tide's got to shift. You use any analogy you want, any platitude you want. But look, any idiom you want. But listen, truisms, there's all sayings. But look, I'm in a lot of pain, so please forgive me if I'm losing my train of thought here and there. And I might move my body away in strange ways because I'm trying to be comfortable and think about baby in my back here. So anyhow, yeah, think about it. I mean, use your imagination. Look, what would a world without any form of money be? Let's say that nothing else changed. We all just kept doing what we do. We spend the amount of hours we spend at work, and we exist, we survive, we live, we pay our cost of living tax. Well, except for that. The only element you take out of the equation is the money. So in other words, if everybody just kept doing what they're doing, the system couldn't fall apart. Now you put into that mix volunteerism, all the people that wish they still were relevant, that they could contribute. But they've thought it through and they realize that, being a volunteer is not their bag because, these are scabs, right? Because they're working for free, doing a job that other people need money to put food on the table for their family. So they've got no regard for volunteers, but they wish they were relevant. And the evidence, of course, would be the paycheck they got from their job. That was like, now this proves I'm important. This is my reward for my services on this job here. You see how we're trained, folks? You understand how this thing works? And I'm the radical guy that says, look, thus saith the Lord. I mean, it's as clear as the light of day to me. What's written about money, that it's a competing god for the most part, that God abhors it, that the things that are highly valued among men so often, primarily riches of this world, temporal riches of this world, money, and the things that it buys us, are a blight to the soul, that these things are detestable in the sight of God for that reason, because they take away the rightful attention and affections that belong to our owner, God Almighty. So to me, it's not radical. So if things were even just logical, in my mind, it's as clear as the light of day, again, that this earth belongs to all of us. That thus saith the Lord. That's a no-brainer. It's axiomatic. It's empirically, it's true. It's just like logical. It's like, duh, it's a no-brainer. Okay, that's how you see it. Once you get over the hurdles of not being able to imagine a world without money, do you understand how that system would still work? Do you understand? And it would work. It would, because people have a godly instinct. Do you understand? And we're not going to allow the system to fall apart. Okay, we're going to innovate all those disruptive technologies that would make our work even easier, which is just an extension of industrialization. Okay, really, technology, all this stuff, robotics and automation. Look, any jobs that are undesirable, we can find automated equipment to do those jobs. We can have clean energy technology. I just heard this idea of putting solar panels on roadways, highways. I mean, what a good idea is that? I mean, if it's a good surface, if it's safe to drive on, if they can do that. I mean, even if it means compromising the amount of energy, could you imagine? I mean, 100-mile stretches of highway. how much energy could be produced, it boggles the mind right there. So that's a fantastic idea. But it's just one example. I mean, hydrogen is what, 17th century, or at least 18th century technology, the ability to artificially produce it. And in all that time, are you telling me they couldn't have made that technology very small? Okay, miniaturized it and put it under the hood of your car, so you put water in your gas tank and you can go 100 miles on a gallon of water. Okay, so it's not going to steam up the atmosphere at all in a case like that. I mean, that's very little water going into the atmosphere.